station. This is Wisconsin Public Radio. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear, Mike, and good to hear your voice.
It's great to hear yours, too. Jennifer is here. She says hello. She's smiling, and I hope best to Anna Marie and your new grandson.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I just talked to them a little while ago, and they're doing great at home. And Anna Marie's definitely enjoying being a grandmother.
Still taking a lot of pictures, and how does northern Wisconsin look from space during the winter?
Well, it obviously looks very different during the winter time. Instead of the darks of the forest and the lakes, we get the whites of the snow, and I know you've gotten plenty of snow up there. Just passed over Duluth Superior, a week and a half ago or so, and I see the harbor's about froze up. So I enjoyed seeing that. That's much different than the last time I was up here. And yes, I am taking lots of pictures.
This is for all three of you. Perhaps Engineer Noguchi first. Do you feel like you're part of history completing the space station, at least getting close to the end?
Yeah, it's actually quite an honor to be on board the station at this time. During our mission, we're going to have the new module coming up, Node 3, and the big window. And also, TJ and I will start soon to start the building a new robotic arm in the keyboard module. So I'm really happy to be here at this time.
Engineer Kramer, same question.
I was giving an opportunity to ask another if you needed to. Absolutely. I mean, a couple of things stand out. The completion, or nearing the completion for sure, as well as the international crew that we have, is just a testament to everyone working together, one big team accomplishing something that probably ranks as the largest engineering project that the world has ever seen in terms of how many people and how many countries are put together to make this happen. Absolutely part of history.
Colonel Williams told me the first time he was in space, the veteran crew let him soak up the moment. Is this being your first trip, is Commander Williams doing the same for you?
I think the best thing to say about Jeff is that he's mentoring us in how to live in space and how to get along with the uniqueness of the environment. Has encouraged us to experience the living and well, the wonder that exists here for sure.
And Engineer Noguchi, same question. How is it working for Commander Williams? Is he a taskmaster?
Yes, yeah, obviously, well, we've been classmates since 1996, and it's great to have him on board. He tell me everything, how to live in space. Actually, this is my second flight, but the last time was a short duration flight, and it's just a lot the difference to live in space station. So he showed me all the ropes, so I'm very delighted.
And Commander Williams, what'd you do for the crew for Christmas? How were you able to celebrate?
Well, we celebrated first with the arrival of these guys and their Russian crewmate Oleg. Max and I had been on board by ourselves for about 3 weeks after the last Soyuz crew left. So we were happy to see them. They arrived on the 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. And of course, with a schedule like that, they couldn't help but arrive bearing gifts. In fact, they were dressed up for the part as well. You might have saw their ingress video as they came in. So 2 days later, of course, we celebrated Christmas, and like most folks around the world, we celebrated it primarily around the dinner table. We had some special food from all the countries represented here. And just enjoyed our time. We also invited the ground team, the mission control teams around the world on board to join us for the meal via video, and thereby they could vicariously take part in it. So we just had a great time.
Was this your first Christmas away from home? And how is it celebrating Christmas in space?
Let's see, I have to think about it. I might have missed one or two other Christmases on military deployments. I can't remember for sure. This has definitely been my first Christmas away on a space flight or in working in the space program. So it was different from that respect. We all also had the opportunity to have video conferences with our family on that day, so we could partake a little bit in what our families were doing for Christmas and mitigate the separation a little bit. Obviously, being here is very unique to be here at all, and to be here during special events like Christmas, and to ponder the meaning of it and the traditions that we have and share behind it. As you view the earth below, it's an incredible experience and just adds to the richness of it.
I got a chance to talk to NASA Chief Administrator Bolden in Moscow while I was there, and he made a point of saying that he wants more Jeff Williams out there. He wants more young people from small towns, from small cities to get involved in NASA. Do you think that that's by you being up there that helps that?
Oh, I think by all of us being up here, whoever is up here, and with the individual backgrounds that we all bring, we all can contribute to the inspiring of make an effort to get the word out and to show people what we're doing. We are an open program, open to the public. There's nothing secret that we do, and it is for people. It's for the national countries that are represented here, as well as the international partnership, and on a broader scale, it's for the whole world. So hopefully we do bring inspiration to people to maybe look past their horizons and be inspired to go beyond where otherwise they would go.
Taking lots of pictures once again?
Of course, it's you never tire of viewing the Earth from this vantage point. And of course, the last time I was here in the spring and summer, into the early fall. This time it's the other seasons of the year, so you see something completely different in all parts of the world. And for me personally, it gives an opportunity to capture the images of an entire year around the globe. So I'm definitely taking lots of photography.
Is there any study of climate change or changes from the vantage point of the International Space Station while you're up there?
We're not specifically participating in any studies in that regard. Obviously, all of the photography that we take is public domain, and it's used not only for just viewing the different sites in general, but also for a lot of scientific studies. Earth scientists and others use that photography for their purposes, and I'm sure that the photography we're taking makes a contribution into those studies that you ask about.
And Flight Engineer Noguchi, are you enjoying watching him take pictures, and is he giving you any pointers?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, taking picture from the station is really tough job, and probably I need maybe a month or so before I get used to taking a picture. So obviously, Jeff is a great photographer. I know he takes a bunch of pictures in the last mission this time also. So so I'm really looking forward to learn from him about the taking pictures.
And
one of the things I'll add to that is we change our orbital path all the time, every day, and we go through periods occasionally where there's not a whole lot to view that's good to take pictures, and we're actually currently in that state where we spend most of our time over the oceans and not a whole lot of time over interesting places to take pictures. So we will increase the amount of activity that we do that we're taking pictures shortly.
Plan to beat your record of last trip?
Well, things are a little bit busier here now. Being a crew of 5, we were a crew of 6 for the first couple of months here. There's a little bit more going on than the last time. And I set the bar pretty high for myself the last time. I kind of doubt that I will beat that record.
Couple more questions. I see we've just got a couple of minutes left, but are you looking forward to talking to the students at the winter school next week?
I am. I saw that on the schedule. It made the schedule for January. I'm very much looking forward to it. Obviously, we all have roots back to where we grew up, and we have lifelong ties to those places. And Winter, Wisconsin, of course, is my hometown. I've got lots of friends there. The community is very close to my family and me, and they're very supportive. And of course, I look forward to having this opportunity to chat not only with the students, but the greater community there as they get to participate in a small way with the space station program.
And a chance to say hello and to the folks in northern Wisconsin as well as your friends in the Houston area?
Oh, you bet. In fact, I can do that right now. Hello to everybody in northern Wisconsin. I have enjoyed flying over there this flight as I did last flight. As I said earlier, it looks much different, a little whiter, looks a little colder. I am in touch still with folks back there, so I know a little bit about what's going on. And as always, I've really appreciated the support and encouragement and enthusiasm that comes out of the northern Wisconsin area, the area I call home and where my roots are.
You have some great friends in the Houston area, too, and it was a privilege to meet them.
We do have some great friends, and of course all of us are among friends right here, and we have common friendships back home, and those friendships are taking care of our families while we're here, so we're very appreciative of that. And I'm very appreciative of you, Mike, and Jennifer also coming to support the launch in Kazakhstan. I know there was some personal sacrifice in doing that. It's not an easy trip to make, and it was an honor to have you there to experience and witness that very unique and special event.
It certainly was. Very unique. And Jennifer wishes you a happy new year. I do, too. And thanks to engineers Noguchi and Kramer. I appreciate it.
All right. Happy New Year, all.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Wisconsin Public Radio portion of the event. Please stand by for a short comm drop. Station, this is Houston ACR. We've reacquired. Please stand by for a voice check from the Washington Post Online.
Station, this is the Washington Post. How do you hear me?
Washington Post, we hear you loud and clear, and we welcome you to the International Space Station. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you. It's great to talk with you guys up there in space. Expedition 22. You're 222 miles up from Earth, I understand. Is that right?
We're right around there. That's true.
And I'm speaking with Commander Jeff Williams, retired Army Colonel, T.J. Kramer, also of the Army, and Soichi Noguchi. Welcome to the Washington Post.
Thank you very much. As TJ said, we're honored to be with you today from the International Space Station.
Yes. First off, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. You guys, it seems like you've been a little bit busy. I know you spoke with the troops in Baghdad. We saw a picture of you with your Santa hats on. It's the holidays now. It sounds like you've been pretty busy.
Yeah, we stay busy up here, and even though our schedule's been a little bit lighter over the holiday period, you never really get a complete.
Yes, let me just start off here. The way this works is we've put a notice up on our website, and that you were going to be on today. We're going to tape this interview here that have come in from various locations across the country. So I'll proceed now to ask the first one. And this one came via Facebook from Iowa, And he says, my son Jacob, who is 8 years old, wants to know who inspired each of you to be an astronaut. Can you start with that, the Commander? Wait.
That's a great question. I was actually inspired by a variety of exposures, I guess, as a cadet at West Point. First, I read the book, The Right Stuff. I had a professor who was on the way to experimental test pilot school, and he was applying to be an astronaut. At the same time, that same year, I met Bob Stewart, retired Brigadier or Major General Bob Stewart, who was the first Army astronaut. That's when I realized that as an Army officer, there was a possibility of being an astronaut. And I set it as a goal at that time. That was in 1978, and pursued it from then on.
TJ, what about you?
This is TJ.
TJ, what about you?
My story is not a specific individual. I'm old enough to have seen Neil Armstrong walk on the moon. That was a bit of a spark. And then through schools, all levels of schooling, the teachers encouraged me in the math and sciences, which was yet another spark. And then when I got into the Army, I ended up flying, which was yet another spark, and everything kind of added up to being a marriage of all the interests. And that's how that all happened. When I became 7 years old in the Army said, what else do you want to do? And I said, research and development. So they sent me a magazine, and the inside back cover was an article entitled Typical Profile of an Army Astronaut. So all those sparks kind of roared to life in a flame.
Noichi, what about you? What is your...
Yes, sir. Growing up in Japan, I didn't think about becoming an astronaut until growing up, and I just love rockets and the spacecraft. I studied those stuff and tried to be an engineer. And then the early 90s, Japanese astronauts started to fly in the space shuttle, like Dr. Mori or Dr. Mukai or Dr. Doi, and those guys, those pioneers, basically inspire me to follow their path.
Very good. Thank you. Now we're going to get to some sort of nitty-gritty kind of questions that people want to know. From Longview, Texas, someone wants to know here, how do you take showers in space, or do you?
Well, we do not take showers in space. Sometimes we say we're going to go take a shower, but really it's a sponge bath. We use just a little bit of water, washcloths. We have a rinseless shampoo and rinseless body wash, is what we call it. So it doesn't take a lot of water, but it's very easy using those means to stay clean up here for a long period of time. But I have to tell you, one of the things I miss after 6 months being up here is just a regular conventional shower.
Yes, and then when do you come back, Commander?
Max Sarayev, my Russian crewmate, and I are scheduled to depart here in the middle of March, and we'll land in Kazakhstan on the Soyuz spacecraft that we arrived on, launched from back in the end of September.
And do you all, I mean, this is the International Space Station, so there are people from, Russia and other countries there. How do you all mix and get along? I mean, are duties divided up? Do you socialize much, or is it? Can you tell me how a typical day might be?
My best answer is the folks that are on board, we count literally as among our best friends. My Russian crewmate, Oleg Kotov, along with Soichi, we came up and we arrived just before Christmas. I think it's very fair to say that the sense of humor in both languages is wonderful, outstanding, to the point where you belly laugh occasionally and get tears in your eyes. Socialization, we have lunches together in the lunches together in the Russian segment, and in the evenings we have dinners over in the American segment. So we make sure that we interact with each other and help each other out in both sides of the station that we can often. A great camaraderie that exists.
Soichi, can you answer this question? How much space, literally, is there up there for you to work in? I mean, it looks like the three of you are floating right now, and you're in a relatively confined space. I mean, are other parts of the space station that you work in larger?
Yes, actually, we are pretty comfortable. I don't think we're confined, but during the walk time, I have a big module called the Japanese Space Station. It's the size of a school bus, and lots of experiment running, and just keep track of all the stuff. And Jeff is mainly keep track of U.S. module, and TJ also have responsibility on the Columbus module, which is a European big science module. So we have a pretty big area to cover.
And how are you all adjusting to the zero gravity? I mean, it looks like right now you're floating, correct?
Oh yeah, we're floating, and the adjustment. Well, there's a learning curve, especially for new guys who go around crashing into things or going too fast or something. But the metabolics of our adjustment are fairly well known. I mean, we have fluid shifts that make us sometimes have moon faces. We have bone loss and some muscle atrophy if we're not using them all the time. But in terms of a day-to-day living, it's wonderful to float. It's a bit of a game to translate and hit your mark and hit the vector from that mark to the right place without crashing into people or other things. The adjustment is as predicted. Probably newbies have a little bit of difficult time, and we grow into it. And we're working every day in order to establish countermeasures so we don't lose the bone structure and the muscle strength that we need upon landing.
The president is going to launch his vision for NASA within weeks, we hear reports say, and to try to see what's next on the docket for the space station there. How do you see the future of the space station? We understand there are 5 more missions left. What happens after that?
Well, what you're talking about is 5 more assembly missions by the space shuttle to come visit the space station and complete its assembly, and also outfit it for its full utilization, supply it with spare parts, etc. And those are scheduled to be completed this coming year, 2010, and after which the shuttle will be retired, so we can free up those resources for the next chapter of space exploration. But the space station will continue. We're just starting now the utilization program of the space station. Next year we'll get into full utilization. This past year we got to a crew of 6, which was the intended final crew complement. Right currently we're at a crew of 5, but we'll return to 6 in April. And I expect the space station to continue to fly and be this research facility that it is for anywhere from 5 to 10 years is my personal guess. We're already committed for the next 5 years to 2015, and I think it's very likely that it will continue to go after that as an international partnership. In parallel, of course, we'll be developing the new chapter, if you will, that will follow alongside and beyond the space station, and that direction will come out shortly, as you said, from the president.
Astronauts Williams, Creamer, and Noguchi, thank you very much for taking time with us down here on Earth. We wish you all the best up there. Happy New Year. Continued success on the mission.
Thank you very much for joining us, and Happy New Year to everybody on Earth.